Civil war is coming. Both sides are screaming it, but I'm here to tell you that it's already here. Not with bayonets and battle lines, but with lawsuits, lockdowns, weaponized agencies, and a complete collapse of trust in America. This isn't 1861, this is 2025, and America is in a cold civil war. The Supreme Court handed down another ruling that changed everything yet again. They said federal district courts can't issue nationwide injunctions. Translation, if the federal government passes a law or executive order, only the people in that specific court case are protected. Everyone else, you're on your own. That means one federal law could be enforced in Texas and completely blocked in California. Same constitution, two different Americas. The courts are fractured. The press is weaponized, and political violence, it's not a matter of if, it's a when. Recent polling says over 1/3 of Americans now believe violence against the government is justified under certain conditions. Think about that. People are choosing sides, stockpiling weapons, digging in, and when the first shot is fired, they'll act shocked. They'll say nobody saw it coming, but we did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and make sure you follow for more.
Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Badash. Double honors to the men that taught us His true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which is our apostles and our elders of the Church of Great Millstone that are ruling well, as well as our bishops that are out in Connecticut. Shalom, peace and love be unto you as well. Shalom, peace and love be unto the 144,000 and the rest of the elect that are listening and learning. The spirit of Egypt is definitely failing. There's two things that I'm going to go into. One is a New York Post.com article, that was published today, June 30th, 2025, dealing with the national pride declining amongst Americans. And the second thing is really going to be a video from the Appalachian Prepper, which he was hitting on some points concerning the cold Civil War. Basically he was making the point that we're in the Civil War already, but it's just a cold Civil War. Just like how you had the Cold War with America and the Russians, all right, or America and the Soviet Union, all right. It never turned hot, but eventually it's going to turn hot, all right, thus fulfilling what's written and recorded in the scriptures, all right. There will be a war involving America and Iran and America and Russia, all right, and that's recorded within the scriptures. And you know what? The small hats are going to draw them out. All right, the scriptures say that the least of the flock shall draw them out. Now, before I go into that, there's another thing that just recently came to mind. All right, it was an article or something that I came across where Iran was saying that they help America thwart a plan that was really set up by the Israelis. The small hats, the JUUs, and how they were trying to perform an attack on American soil and make it seem like, the Iranians did it basically to draw America into a full war, with the Iranians. Now, with that being known by America, what are you going to do? and really, they're not going to do anything because they're the number one ally to the JW, okay? And really, they're in their pockets. So anyways, there's going to be false flags. There's going to be black swan events. There's going to be situations that are set up, with the same vibration as 9/11. All right, the Z's behind it, the JWs behind it, basically to draw the world into another Middle East conflict, which when that finally takes place, which will be after the mark of the beast is implemented, all right, then there's no return from that. The world is going to enter into what is known as World War III. Now, going to this article real quick. And once again, this is from the New York Post. It was published today, June 30th, 2025. National pride is declining in America, and it's splitting by party lines. Gallup poll. which you got two sides here, but both sides are part of the same beast system. And even that's within the scriptures. The scriptures cover every base. All right, there's nothing that the scriptures miss. Anything that's of importance that's happening in the world, politically, geopolitically, all right, involving kingdoms, it's recorded within the Bible. All right, Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld, and another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So what is that talking about? That's talking about America, which America is based off of ancient Rome. All right, even the founding fathers, they were infatuated with Rome. All right, that's the reason why the architecture and, the government body, all of that is structured after ancient Rome. This nation has the resemblance of ancient Rome. All right, when you read further down, it says that it created an image to a beast. The image in Greek, the word there is icon. That's where icon comes from. And one of the definitions of icon is a resemblance. So just how ancient Rome had the plebeians and the patricians, here in America you have the Democrats and you have the Republicans. But however, they're two sides of the same beast. But this country in itself is fractured. It's split down the middle, as you're going to find out. And there will be national rebellions. There will be an uprising of people rising up against the government. All right, people rising up against each other. A great civil war. So reading this article, Washington, only 36% of Democrats say they're extremely and very proud to be American, according to a new Gallup poll, reflecting a dramatic decline in national pride that's also clear among young people. The findings are a stark illustration of how, but not all, Americans have felt less of a sense of pride in their country over the past decade. The split between Democrats and Republicans at 56 percentage points is at its widest since 2001. That includes all 4 years of Republican President Donald Trump's first term. Only about 4 in 10 U.S. adults who are part of Generation Z, which is defined as those born from 1997 to 2012, express a high level of pride in being American in Gallup surveys conducted in the past 5 years on average. All right, that compared with about 6 in 10 millennials, those born between 1980 and 1996, and at least 7 in 10 U.S. adults in older generations. Each generation is less patriotic than the prior generation. And Gen Z is definitely much lower than anybody else, said Jeffrey Jones, a senior editor at Gallup. But even among the older generations, we see that they are less patriotic than the ones before them, and they've become less patriotic over time. All right, that's primarily given by Democrats within those generations. So, look, the spirit of people is really turning against this place. They're not in that patriotic, national mind state that they used to be in. And I'm just curious to see what July the 4th or the 4th of July is going to look like. I mean, because you see it even within the celebration of holidays. People aren't really that into holidays. They're not really into, particular, celebrations and things of that nature like they used to be. All right. From the Appalachian Prepper, he's basically going into how there's a new bill that was passed, or new law that was passed, that basically takes away the ability of I believe laws to be passed. If there's a law that's passed in Texas or whatever, or something happens within the courts in Texas, basically he's saying that it doesn't take effect in another state if the other state is against it. So they don't have to enforce it all over the place. So he's basically explaining how there's a civil war going on, but it's like a cold civil war. You ain't got people walking around with bayonets. You know, they're not lining up, you know, in line formation. All right, the first line shoot, then they step back, load up, then the next line come forth and shoot. All right, like they did during the Civil War. All right, but however, you have different parties that are against each other, different sects that are against each other, different people against each other. There's a great divide within this country, and this is all fulfilling biblical prophecy. So lawsuits, lockdowns, weaponizing agencies, complete collapse of trust in America. This is in 1861. I'm just reading what he said. This is 2025, and America is in a cold civil war. The Supreme Court handing down another ruling that changed everything yet again. They said federal district courts can't issue nationwide injunctions. Translation: if the federal government passes a law or executive order, only the people in that specific court case are protected. You are on your own. That means one federal law could be enforced in Texas and completely blocked in California. Same, what do you say? Same constitution, different. American courts are fractured and weaponized political violence in the matter of, if not when. Recent polling say over 1/3 of Americans now believe violence against government is justified under certain conditions. So see, and there's actual articles you can go to. A matter of fact, let's go here. I'll come back to this. This is from the Washington Post, and this is just a simple Google search of what he just said. Over 1/3 of Americans now believe that violence against the government is justified. And this is an article from the Washington Post. 1 in 3 Americans say violence against the government can be justified. The Guardian: 1 in 3 Americans say violence against government justified. NPR: new poll finds 1 in 10 Americans support violence against the government. Alabama Political Reporter: over 1 in 3 Americans now believe violence against the government can be justified. PBS: 1 in 5 Americans thinks violence may solve U.S. division. Polls find. So anyways, yeah, that spirit of Egypt is felon. Now this is the book of Isaiah 19, 1-4. And this is the time that we're in now. This prophecy is being fulfilled. The burden of Egypt, which Egypt is another prophetic name for America, given the bondage that the children of Israel serve within this place. It's comparable to Egypt. So Egypt is a spiritual name for America. It says, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of the Egyptian, or Egypt, shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight one against another, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. Now, when you read that same verse within the GNT, it reads this: the Lord says, I will stir up civil war in Egypt and turn brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. Rival city will fight each other, and rival kings will struggle for power. See? Let me read on. This is reading on in the KJV. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to their idols, and to their charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of the cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, except Yahweh, Yahweh of hosts. And who is that cruel Lord that is set up to rule over? Well, Apostle Tahar brought it out. That cruel Lord is DJ Trump. All right, which under his reign as king over Egypt, over America, he could possibly be the one that makes that dragon speak, in which that dragon is speaking under him. All right, so he's becoming unpopular. All right, it's not desirous, all right, of Americans to be Americans. They're not. They don't have that great American pride. That America, fuck yeah, that pride right there. Okay. 2 Ezra 9:1. It says he answered. Consider all these things very carefully. When you see that some of the signs I have told you about have appeared, which this is coming from the GNT, ye would know that the time has come when power most high will bring judgment on the world he has created. And we're seeing these things take place. We're seeing earthquakes. We're seeing wars. We're seeing rumors of wars. There will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When you see these things happening, now, when you go into a national rebellion, what is that? What that? A national rebellion refers to an organized opposition to authority. Typically, it takes the form of violent uprising by using civilians against power structures such as a government or regime. These movements are often fueled by widespread discontent among the populace, driven by factors like oppression, inequality, and desire for great autonomy or rights. So see, organized resistance, rebellions are not random acts of violence, but rather coordinated efforts by a group of population against the established authority. So what is that? That's a civil war. Okay? Challenge to authority. The core aim of a rebellion is to challenge and resist the ruling power and its legitimacy. So yep, that happened during the American Revolution, but it will also happen during this time here. Now, what is national pride? National pride is a feeling of satisfaction and belonging associated with one's nation, stemming from a positive perception of its history, achievements, culture, and values. It's a sense of loyalty and love for one's country, often expressed through acts of patriotism. But now, due to the fact that this country is putting hell on people, all right, deporting someone's wife, someone's girlfriend, someone's husband, boyfriend, family members, all right. Hey, some people are against it, but some people are justifying it. All right, this is causing a split, a division. All right, is actually division. They say down the middle, but it's being broken up into sections, into pieces. All right, jumping over to 2 Ezra 15:15 in the GNT. The war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. There will be great political turmoil, and one group trying to overpower another to gain control and ignoring the legitimate government. they will no longer be free access of the cities yet, because these cities are going to be locked down under martial law, and that's coming soon. All right, why do you think that they're pushing the notion of terrorist attacks on American soil? So that they can come with those draconian laws. It says there will no longer be free access to the city, because the struggle of power will bring destruction, terror, and confusion wherever people live. Driven by famine and terrible sufferings, people will assault their neighbors and maliciously plunder their possessions. So we're in the midst of a civil war breaking loose. You know, people are rising up against the government. There's seditions, all right, and Americans' patriotism, all right, and their pride in this country is declining. Okay, right with this country's on a decline. So I wanted to report on that. I hope this was edifying. Until the next time, Shalom.